For years, the B2B digital playbook followed a predictable rhythm: get attention, drive traffic, collect the lead, and let the sales team sort it out. But today, marketing operators are watching those top-of-funnel metrics hold steady while their conversion rates suddenly drop. When pipeline volume shrinks, the immediate instinct is to blame the traffic quality or the marketing campaign itself. But the breakdown actually happens later. Prospective clients visit the website, read the materials, and leave without acting. The offer is fine and the budget exists, yet they stall because the business has not made the exact next step easy to understand. A buyer who abandons a form because they don't know if your service fits their specific use case is hitting an evaluation barrier. They have unanswered questions about the process and the criteria that prevent them from moving forward. Pouring capital into top-of-funnel attention creates no value when the buyer arrives at a site that offers them marketing copy instead of a clear structure to reach a conclusion. This flowchart shows how the buyer journey has split. We have the linear path of a traditional search, contrasted with the new path where buyers use AI search engines like ChatGPT and Google SGE before ever hitting a website. Google SGE, or Search Generative Experience, is an AI-powered feature that synthesizes direct answers at the top of the results page. Buyers asking an AI system about a business challenge receive a synthesized explanation of the solution category. They also get a preliminary assessment of which companies are credible in that space, allowing them to bypass your site entirely for their initial research. The megaphone represents outdated persuasion architecture built for low-awareness buyers. Re-educating AI-educated buyers creates friction. The alternative is a resolution website, designed out the buyer answer: is this company the right fit for me? Routing an AI-referred buyer into a persuasion funnel forces them backwards. Ignoring the evaluation work they have already completed slows your pipeline. This infographic outlines 5 structural differences to transition a website from persuasion to resolution. A persuasion homepage opens with heavy brand narrative. A resolution homepage opens with trigger alignment, language that acknowledges the buyer's activation moment and points them toward a conclusion. You trade a company-focused story for immediate utilitarian orientation that confirms the buyer is in the right place. Next, you stop using service pages to broadly describe your methodology. Instead, you organize them entirely around the buyer's decision questions. The copy prioritizes confirming fit, explaining required conditions, and detailing exactly what the engagement looks like, rather than listing abstract features. The content strategy shifts from building broad authority and chasing traffic to an answer-first design. You sacrifice SEO-driven thought leadership to provide dense structural frameworks. The content exists to deliver clear answers that resolve buyer uncertainty. Across the front end, a resolution architecture discards the goal of impressing the buyer and starts giving them the tools to orient themselves. The uniform book a call or contact us button, applied across every page, acts as a high-friction barrier. It assumes every visitor is ready for a live conversation immediately. Demanding that level of commitment forces away the majority of visitors who are interested but still evaluating their fit. You replace that single ask with sequenced calls to action. These match the buyer's readiness level, offering conceptual tools for exploration, guided assessments for evaluation, and a sales conversation only at the final commitment stage. The final shift moves the site away from passive reading by embedding micro SaaS tools directly at points of high uncertainty. Micro SaaS refers to small, highly focused software applications designed to solve a single, specific problem. These are decision support assets. A fit qualifier, a readiness benchmark, or a pricing calculator gives the buyer a structured path to evaluate their own scenario and see a customized output. Building these assets requires logic mapping and software development. It demands a heavier upfront investment of time and capital than writing a blog post. But the commercial math works. A prospect who uses an interactive tool to confirm their own fit arrives at the first sales call highly committed. Their decision to move forward was self-generated. Resolving the buyer's uncertainty is only half the system. The moment that lead is captured, many organizations lose their leverage to internal operational friction. Team members ask the same intake questions the buyer already answered. Routing depends on who checks the inbox. Proposal creation is a manual, bespoke process for every single inquiry. marketing loses its leverage if the internal handoff relies on fragile, improvised human choreography. This schematic details how workflow plugins act as the mandatory back-end logic. Buyer input data flows automatically from the front-end decision support asset directly into triage, briefing, and proposal notes. These plugins standardize your response speed. They eliminate repetitive data entry and remove the need for your sales reps to spend their early calls asking basic qualification questions. Achieving commercial scale depends on a structured internal environment that instantly operationalizes buyer intelligence. This quadrant chart maps exactly who needs to adopt the resolution architecture, plotting the complexity of the sale against the buyer's arrival state. High-ticket B2B services, complex SaaS platforms, and consultative agencies are the primary beneficiaries. If your sales team spends their exploratory calls answering, "Is this right for me?" or explaining how the service actually works, this upgrade is mandatory. If you run pure transactional e-commerce or sell highly commoditized products, you can ignore this model. Over-engineering a decision tool for a simple price-driven checkout adds unnecessary friction, but failing to build one for a complex sale guarantees a leaking pipeline. It is important to understand that shifting to a resolution architecture does not mean the complete death of persuasion. Traditional elements like social proof, testimonials, and brand narrative are simply repositioned. They act as a solid, supportive foundation for the buyer's self-guided evaluation journey, rather than acting as the primary hook to pull them in. The required first step for leadership is auditing the current digital environment to pinpoint exactly where buyer momentum is stalling. You can use systems like the Decision Cycle Compression Diagnostic, or DCCD. The DCCD is an assessment tool that maps exactly where buyer-side uncertainty and internal workflow drag are slowing down your revenue. The businesses that capture market share next will be the clearest decision facilitators. They will turn buyer confusion into confidence, operationalize that insight internally, and close the gap before their competitors even return the email.